One certainty in life is change. And at the moment, the roads network is facing a lot of changing expectations. For example, only about 10% of young people are learning to drive, which means that their expectations of travel and expectations of the network are changing. We're seeing new demands on the network in terms of different deliveries and different business models. And we're also seeing a technical evolution. I'm minded to think a prehistoric man who invented the wheel and said, "Eureka, I have a technical revolution." So technology has always evolved, and I think the point is that although we have new expectations and new demands, we're seeing that technology can react to them and can find answers to them. When you get up in the morning, going to travel to work, kind of an expectation of what you'd like the road to be like or your route to work to be like. Unfortunately, it's not like that generally. There's a degree of congestion. I'm reminded that, as someone said, the invention of the ship was also the invention of the shipwreck. The same way that the invention of the road was also the invention of the road congestion. In the UK, the first motorway, the Preston Bypass, was built in 1958. The following bank holiday after it was opened was the first traffic jam on the motorway, as everybody flocked to use and try out this new road. So congestion's here to stay. We could, of course, just try and rise above the problem, but some of these solutions are going to be a little way off, so we have to sort of deal with what we have today. So if we look at the role of the network operator currently, we're working with existing technologies, existing systems, from traffic signal heads to controllers to some form of adaptive control. It's quite functional in what it's trying to achieve and very limited in its data collection about what's happening on the network. But it's still trying to meet a goal of managing congestion and what we're doing there. So let's look at what's actually changing in terms of global trends to affect that. The first is population growth. Population growth and its impact on the road network means that we're looking at forms of modal shift, how we can move away from one mode to another. That can decrease the demand on the road network, but it means that we need to have integration with other systems that are going to be happening and managing those other modes. Urbanisation, we're seeing the growth of people living in towns and cities, which can increase demand on a network where we're not building new roads. And eventually mobility as a service, so people can broker your actual travel from one point to another point, which means that systems need to be integrated. It means we need more strategic control of a network. And lastly, the environmental sustainability becoming more and more on the agenda. We can see Sadiq Khan, for example, implementing his election promises in London. Not too many years ago, diesel cars were a good thing to have, but now they're very much a bad thing to have. So we're looking at new parameters for how we manage real-time optimization on the network. Our second trend is changing consumer patterns. I noticed today there's an e-procurement exhibition going on here at the NEC as well today. We're now seeing at least 1 in every £5 spent online, which means there's more demand on our network as those deliveries take place, and particularly the last mile type deliveries. So again, our users are changing, the users of the network are changing, and their priorities are changing. Connected and autonomous vehicles, we hear a lot about that in the press, but from a network operator's point of view, we want to be able to connect to those vehicles. So we're looking at increased cooperative technology. And we're also looking at how those vehicles want to connect into a greater system, so mobility as a service where they're part of a delivery from someone moving somebody from A to B. So again, it's going to affect how we parameterize our real-time optimization of that network. The fourth one is policy outcomes. So we're now seeing government and local authorities and operators moving into a more strategic area, rather than just managing the tactical, but managing it from a strategic perspective. So we're seeing that shift. That means they need greater strategic control of a network, managing different services. It also means data needs to be more open. We're looking at more open standards, making that data available so different people can use different bits of the data at different levels of a system. The fourth one is Internet of Things. The Internet of Things means that data connectivity is happening, so we can actually move data around. People can get more information about their journey or the journey they wish to make. But we're also seeing increased connectivity. So not just in terms of the mobile networks, the cellular networks, but also the Wi-Fi local short-range networks to increase all of that information and move the data around. So again, different systems talking to each other. And the last one and talk about today is the personalization of data. Because we have smart devices, people want to have more real-time updates of their journey, what's going on and what's happening. So there's that bigger demand. And so for the first time as a network operator, other than through a VMS or a signal head, you've actually got a one-to-one relationship with a road user. It also pushing that requirement for increased connectivity. So to have the need for the information means there must be connectivity at all times. So whether we go down 5G or big G. So just reminding ourselves where we start off as a network operator in that kind of functional, very technically driven, managing things like congestion. All of these new solutions and technology evolutions that are coming through means we can grab that technology that's happening in those different areas that allow us to move forward to thinking about how we can use that in a new way for a network operator. Bringing those two together is the important bit of it. So in a connected age, we can have changed goals. Goals can be very personal now for an individual traveller, or they can be actually related to implementing more societal goals around things like the sustainable environment type agenda. So we can set policies, so we're looking to set policies that actually then impact how we optimize maybe networks, for example, and what we have. It also requires collaboration between different people and different organizations to make that happen. So the integration needs to be there, the openness and the open standards need to be there, and the connectivity that's going to happen. So just as a quick reminder, we looked at 6 sort of global trends, mega trends. They're coming through in sort of a number of different areas that we need to build into solutions. So things like integrating different systems, real-time optimizing parameters need to change, improve strategic control, the cooperative technologies, the open data, changes in the telecom market that are happening, and in particular data analytics. And a couple of little projects just to bring that to life. One that we're doing called Flourish, involved with the cooperative autonomous vehicles. It's an Innovate UK project, but it means we're bringing together that cooperative technology, trying to understand how a network operator might use the information around cooperative data to control that network and what it means. It also means we're analyzing some of that data, and it requires the telecommunication networks to be there to help bring it together. And that technology you can see on the colleagues on the stand here in some of the pods, just behind the image here for, on the first pod here for the inflow, which is dealing with that control technology, and behind it, the cooperative technology that we have in Dynniq. And the second one is Engage Smart Transport, another Innovate UK project operating down in Devon. It shows that collaborative type nature that needs to go on. So we're looking at 2 local authorities, a local university, and a number of commercial companies bringing things together. This one is looking at environmental data, not emissions, but in terms of weather data, and how that might be used to inform and influence road users on that network. So we can see we've gone from a need for having just simple control to a more collaborative type control of our networks. And if you want to find out any more information on this, please come and see myself or any of my colleagues on the stand today. Thank you.